Let's talk about 12 Monkeys because it premieres on Friday, January 16th. And we've actually both seen 7 episodes.
Yes.
So let's get this out of the way, is the fact that a word, not just in the IGN comments, just in the internet in general, you see used a lot, is biased, and usually incorrectly. Usually it's like, you disagree with me, you're biased. But I will say, 12 Monkeys, let's get the bias part out of the way to say that it's co-created by Travis Fickett, who, if you've listened to Channel Surfing long enough, you will remember him speaking to me as my co-host on this show years ago. He's also an old college friend of mine, as is his co-creator, Terry Metalis. So let's get that out there, that I know these guys very well.
Let me say, I have no bias.
Right.
I mean, I've met Travis and Terry briefly. No, they were lovely, actually. Well, I met Travis a few more times than Terry.
Yeah.
I think I only met Terry one time. I don't really have a bias, though. I mean, these aren't my very good friends. They're your very good friends.
And I also would like to say that I think I can be even-handed. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Terra Nova, which they wrote for.
I was not a huge fan of Terra Nova myself.
People have different things they work on,
I am a huge, and I think that I will speak for probably many people, I am a huge fan of the movie 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, me too.
I love that movie. And I had just rewatched it recently, probably knowing that the show is coming up. And I went into the show with an open mind, but I also went in with some trepidation about it. I was addicted. I really was. By the 3rd episode, I liked the pilot, but I will say it did take me probably a couple of more episodes to go. I love this show, and I'm really enjoying it. It definitely is resonant with 12 Monkeys, the movies, but it really is its own thing in a good way.
Yeah.
It's doing its own thing. There are surprises to be had. Jennifer Goines, who, this is a character, I'm just ranting. This is a character
Positively ranting.
Based on Brad Pitt's character in the movies, Jeffrey Goines. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Like Caleb, my boyfriend, which is relevant, but also a huge fan of that movie, and I were watching the 7 episodes together, and he was like, I think she's better than him. Like, I didn't think it was possible, but I think she's very different, is what I will say.
Canadian actress Emily Hampshire plays the character.
Good. Fill in the blanks.
Yes.
Of my rant. Yes, and she is great, and I interviewed her at New York Comic Con, had never seen the movie, and I think that served her really well because she wasn't trying to ape. Okay. Brad Pitt.
I see what you accidentally did there.
See what I accidentally did there. I think it's great. This is really tight, strong sci-fi. It's so cool. It ended on a cliffhanger of sorts, which I will not reveal, obviously. I have some theories, and I'm excited to share them with the internet once you guys see it. Check it out. I'm serious. And I'm not biased. These are not my besties.
We should say we've seen 7 episodes, but there's 13, I believe, for the first season. So the cliffhanger that we've seen is not the end of the season. It's
They just wanted to mess with our heads.
Just mess with us. I loved it. I thought it was great, and I was really, really impressed. We saw the pilot last summer. And
I liked it.
I really liked it only because, and it again, there's going to be purists for everything, right? So yes, it is changing the movie dramatically.
Yeah.
I think in understandable ways, because the movie even played coy with, is he insane or really a time traveler for much of the running time?
It does change the movie. However, it doesn't feel, and look, you're not going to capture Terry Gilliam's tone.
No.
So it's not in that tone. It does, but it still feels very resonant thematically to me with the movie.
No, I agree. But the first couple minutes of this show make it
like Fargo was with Fargo.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's a great example, because the first few minutes of this make it abundantly clear time travel's real. It's happening. Because you can't. How could an ongoing series be like? How long?
Not.
Yeah, how long would you stretch it out for? So here, he's a time traveler. We know that right from the beginning. You can actually watch the first 9 minutes of the show. Have already been posted online if you want. That kind of set up the whole thing. I really like some of how the character Aaron Stanford plays Cole, the variation of the Bruce Willis character, how he kind of shows how time travel works to Riley, to Amanda Scholl's character.
I love her too. And those were both. They're all filling in. They're stepping into big shoes to some degree. All of them. I loved the way she played that character. Yeah. And you get to know her so much more. I also love Cole.
Yeah.
Nothing against Cole. Cole's great too. But I think, surprised how taken I was with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it goes to some really cool places. There's some nice, I don't want to like hype it up as being like there's constant twists and turns, but there are some cool little like unexpected ways they go. Like I didn't think that was going to happen that way, Well,
and I think that it lays in that's what I was trying to say is like I think I even texted you like I love 12 Monkeys. When I had finished watching the 7, and I was like, plus I have theories. Because I think for someone like me, and probably some of you out there that like sci-fi, that's part of the fun of it, is that you get to be like, oh, I think I know how this is going to connect to that. And whether you're right or you're wrong, it's sort of fun to play that game with a show. So I think it has some of that in there. But it doesn't feel like manufactured.
No. And it does, I think it rides that fine line of, obviously it's dependent on the film for its existence, and there's tributes to the movie, some overt. I mean, she wears a sweater in the second episode that's made to look like Brad Pitt's sweater. Yeah. But then it goes in its own direction, and it becomes its own thing.
There's a fringe alum.
There is a fringe alum, like Kirk Cassavetes is one of the leads, yeah.
And he's, I really like his character.
In the post-apocalypse again, though, this dude.
in the post-apocalypse, but that's the other thing is that we get to see more of the post-apocalyptic world. Yeah. And explore Dr. Jones. Who I don't know if you guys remember from the movie. Mm-hmm. It was the same name, right?
I believe so.
Did she have the same name?
I think so.
It is Dr. Jones, so. Right?
But
not as an
I'm not
Indy.
saying for sure because I might be wrong.
I might be wrong too, but it's not as an Indiana Jones. Her character goes to some really interesting places. Mm-hmm. It raises great questions. I know I'm overselling. I don't want to oversell it.
But the one reason I think we almost kind of do is the fact that so many people are really skeptical of this show, both because it's got the remake factor, and remake is something we love, but more I think because it's on Syfy, and you and I have had this conversation about Syfy trying to rebuild their brand, and it's very tarnished right now. Yeah. And you see that when we put up stories about 12 Monkeys or anything on Syfy, and people are like, oh, it's on Syfy.
It's not going to be any good.
Yeah, it's going to be cheap. It's going to be this. It's going to be cheesy. I hope that for that reason, that people will check this out and see. And I think it is smart that they're releasing a lot of stuff early, and they screened the pilot off-site at New York Comic Con. They did a Paley event because I think they know if people actually watch it,
they'll like it.
They'll like it, yeah.
And I think that the other benefit of having it as a series, like we were just touching on right now, is like obviously the post-apocalyptic world is very popular right now. Yeah. It's approaching it in a really cool way. And I mean, of course, it has all of those questions like, what would you do in this reality? How would society break down? How would people treat each other? And it plays with that. And it doesn't feel tired to me. That it still feels like an interesting question and a good approach, because one of the things that's missing from like The Walking Dead to me is like, where are the people that actually are the scientists that are trying to do something about this?
We met one. He was crazy.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is like, well, here they are, and this is what they're trying to do, If you like time travel, which I do, it plays with that in some really clever ways, which gets really dangerous because you can paint yourself into a corner, and they've handled it really well. Yeah. I highly recommend it, legitimately. Really, really into it. Can't wait